all the lovely readers out there. Welcome to the Creating Marietta panel, brought to you by Australian Romance Readers Association. If you have been hiding under a rock and don't know what Marietta is, it's the fictional town created by Tule Publishing, thanks to one of the founding authors of the town, Jane Porter, and the rest of the gang who are about to introduce themselves are also have written books set in the town, which is in Montana. So I might get everyone here to introduce themselves. We might as well start with Jane, being at the top of the tiles. So maybe just say who you are, where you're from, because we're all coming here from far and wide, and maybe just one of your latest books. You can give us a bit of a spiel to kick us off.
Yeah, I'm Jane Porter. I live in Southern California in San Clemente, a little beach town. That's probably one of the biggest surf towns in California. My husband's a surfer, so we're here. And this is my newest book that's set in Marietta, and it's basically came out early April, and it's a modern day mail order bride story. And it was really fun to write because I wanted the challenge, but it was also a little harder than I expected. But this is the first of 4 brothers. So. Oh,
sounds exciting. Oh, and I forgot to mention as well how many books, or how many series there are actually set in the town.
Yeah, a lot.
Yes, it's a lot for people to dive into if they are new to the town, isn't there? So there's 80 series set in the town, and yes. it was started in, was it 2013 or?
The first one came out in September of 2013. Okay. And it just keep going. Yeah.
So from duets to 7-book multi-author series, all set in the town. So it's amazing. So on to Alissa. Can you intro
Hi, everyone.
yourself?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alissa, and I live in the central west of New South Wales, and I'm on a farm, and I do apologise if my nose is red because I've been outside to take horses' rugs off, and the sun's shining, but it is a little bit chilly, so my voice is also a bit croaky. I love Marietta. I think I'm biased because I read Marietta as well as write. I can't really choose one of my books to talk about, but I just might give a brief overview of my Wildflower Ranch series, which is set in Paradise Valley and features Montana. And there's 6 books in that series, and each of the books are based on a ranch that has been named after a wildflower by their pioneer families. And their descendants today, it's their contemporary stories, all are still locked in a battle for survival. And it doesn't matter if they have a broken heart or they are lonely or they have something to hide. By the end of each of my 6 books, they've all found that happily ever after that they thought would be forever out of reach. And I just love these stories, and I just love writing about Marietta and being in Paradise Valley, even if it's not for real.
Oh, Kelly, and on to you. Thank you, Alissa.
Okie dokie. I'm on the central coast of New South Wales at the moment, and it's a beautiful sunny day, but the sun's kind of playing hide and seek with the clouds. So sometimes I've got really sun in my eyes, and sometimes not, and I need to shut some curtains. But I've been writing since about 2007, first from Mills and Boon. Came into the Tule stable pretty early. After those first books in 2013, there was a Montana Bride series, and Sarah was an author, and it was a multi-author series, and I found that I absolutely loved being able to tap into a world that was being created, and it gave me, lots of creative energy, and to see what all the other authors brought to the series, to the stories, and to the place was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to be involved with. Latest story, my latest Tule story is coming out in August. I don't have a picture. It's 11, right? Yeah. And I have returned to Australia for that one, so that's not a Marietta story. But my last Marietta story was a bachelor, perhaps. I'm not sure. for the Bachelor series, but that's about it. I still write for Mills and Boon. I still write for Tule, and I love doing all those things.
Excellent. And
Thank you.
lucky last, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Mayberry. I live on the Mornington Peninsula, just outside of Melbourne in Australia, obviously. And as Kelly was saying, I came on board pretty early in the day with Tule and Marietta with the, what was it, the Great Wedding Giveaway series. And I wrote a book in that, and then we kind of got to a point in the series where we all went, oh, we didn't pick a winner for the for the big wedding giveaway. And so we sort of went, who's going to write that? And I ended up putting my hand up for that one as well. So I ended up writing 2 books for that one series. And that second book, Make Believe Wedding, is still one of my favourite books ever that I wrote because it's just so much fun.
Oh.
Latest book for me would be the 3rd book in my Carmody family series, which is called More Than a Cowboy. And that whole series is set in Marietta, and the kind of concept of it for me was inspired by Party of 5, the TV series where the parents die and the kids have to kind of forge on and survive without them, etc., and what that does to the family dynamics and all that sort of stuff. And I've got one more book left to write in that, and that's the oldest brother's story. And I'm getting so many emails from readers going, when am I going to hear Jed? When's Jed going to be happy?
Oh. Wow. Well, you guys are very productive. That sounds yeah, like I can't wait to read that. So where are you on that one? How?
The last book, I have planned it and I'm about to start writing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So we
yeah,
still have to wait.
Story. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't hold your breath, but it's coming.
Okay. I've been waiting a while. All right, so we might get onto some of the questions that the lovely readers sent in. So I will start with Jane. Feels a bit like the Brady Bunch because we're going around all the different squares. But yeah, just to start with, who got to map the town of Marietta? How many people are involved in the process, and how long did it take? And how much has the map sort of grown over time? Can you? A few questions for you.
I did a lot of the mapping. I have to say, I was pretty much in charge of the mapping because I always wanted to be an architect. And but I was also with Lillian Darcy. I mean, she's one of the 4 founding authors. And so, I mean, I think it's important to remember that this Montana town was founded by an Australian. So I think it's a natural fit to have other Australian authors writing because, you know, Lillian had reached out to other authors, other friends, and she brought people in. And I think because I also write for Mills and Boon in London, you know, so much of my world is international. My author friends are international. And the whole idea was to create a world that we could create together. So we were sitting at C.J. Carmichael's cabin in Montana, and we were coming up with ideas. And Megan Crane was kind of doing her thing and listening, but she multitasks. And I got out all this paper and I began to draw and write down streets. And then Lillian Darcy was like right there saying, okay, now we need this, and we need this, and we need this. And so I would like write more. And then CJ would say, okay, we need this. And it was really amazing. We created it over a weekend. And then when we got home, we sent it off to a map maker who created a big printed map for us. And many of the things that were created that weekend, Gray's Saloon, you know, the kind of the Bramble House, the courthouse, you know, a lot of the historic key places are still being written about. And then the other shops, we made it so that things could kind of come and go. So the great thing with those writing about a ranch, the ranch gets to stay. You know, the ranch doesn't disappear. I think there's been a few businesses that were created that have then changed hands. And that was also meant. So, you know, I'll have to have the other authors speak to it. But for me, like, I'm very attached to the historic elements, the hotel, you know, the courthouse, things like that. But everything else is very fluid, I think.
Sounds a bit like a TV series. Like I can see it before my eyes. Is that sort of how you came at it, or just to throw in?
Well, I think when we all started it, like CJ and Lillian Darcy both had a very strong individual series. And I had an idea But I had a lot of things happening with one of my sons, and it was a very chaotic first 2 years for me. In fact, I was supposed to write in the Great Wedding Giveaway, and things were again so chaotic. I had to kind of pull back on that. And, you know, I think what was amazing about working with other authors, the multi-authors, was that they would cover for you and they would help, and being able to, again, bounce ideas with other writers. I mean, to me, today, what Marietta represents is the multi-authors, that this belongs to everybody. And it belongs to the readers, because readers will like say, please give us more of this.
Yeah. And why Montana as well? Why not?
I think in many ways, because a lot of us who wrote for Harlequin or Silhouette over the years, and Texas was a big thing, and Montana was closer to the Canadian border. It was less settled. It's a little bit more, you know, kind of be your own person, but also live and live. So you have all the mountains, and it's a very hard, long winter. So there's a rugged quality, but there's also an open quality too, which is, I think, welcome, at least in the US for us. It was kind of this idea of you can go and create what you want.
Yeah, okay. I like that. Wow. I guess I'll just throw this one out to the other authors. Sorry, I haven't prepped you on this, but how would you sort of describe the typical Montana hero or heroine? Is there like a typical one? Would you say, like, is there something?
I think we have probably more than our fair share of cowboys, rugged cowboy types, and first responders, and dudes that you know, get their hands dirty. They can trek, they can hike, they can rescue, they can get out in that landscape and work within it, and that's really nice. I think maybe as a Mills and Boon writer, for me, after coming from a background of writing stories about a lot of wealth, a lot of luxury, a lot of glitz and glamour, it was so lovely to be able to, for me in particular, just to write about ordinary guys, great heroic ordinary guys, and fill them with all those lovely qualities that we always fill our heroes with, but have them be a bit more down to earth. Someone else?
What about heroines? Do they have a bit of sass?
Well, I write rural. Yeah, I write rural anyway, and I love that because that's what I live. So it was so lovely to actually transport it to a different sort of, I guess, frontier in a way. But I think there's lots of similarities between our Australian rural and also over in Montana, that small, lovely community, that sense of mateship and of friendship. And I think in terms of heroes and heroines, I think that's a reflection of author voices as well, that there's the alpha males, there's also beta, and I think it's so fascinating to see it's that common denominator that we have this wonderful town, but it's so interesting the different flavours that authors add through their characters and also through their storylines.
Yeah. I might throw a question at you now, Sarah. So getting back to the town itself, are authors allowed to make up anything new they like in their town? So could I add a karaoke bar if I wanted to? Or is the process more complicated than that? Fill me in.
It hasn't been for me. You know, when we were working in the series, we sort of pretty quickly sort of staked out the territory. Like with the wedding giveaway, I think we sort of communicated with each other which parts of stories we were going to tell, and which kind of story themes, etc. as well. Because the other thing as well is you didn't want to sort of have two Cinderella stories, for example, in the same series and things like that. But I think the town is infinitely flexible, as Jane has said, and we just keep on adding details to it as needed. And I actually really like the fact that there are certain touchstones that I can keep coming back to in each book that I have a really strong sense of in my sort of writer's visual brain. The diner and the graph and all that sort of stuff, and the rodeo grounds or the fairgrounds, all that sort of business. In the second book in my comedy series, I created a new housing development on the outside of town that was sort of adjacent to these sort of big old grain silos. And because they weren't able to knock them down and get rid of an eyesore, the developer actually paid a outdoor artist, a muralist, to come and decorate them with those amazing story high, you know, murals that you see particularly in Australia on the silos and grain elevators, etc. So I created that, and everyone's gone, cool, that's in the town now.
Right.
And so I added that little piece of sort of feature or architecture or whatever to the community, and I'm sure that other writers have done the same things.
Was the hero the artist, or?
No, that was my heroine.
Oh, wow.
That was the thing that I love about writing in Marietta, is because, yes, the guys are really hands-on, practical, rugged, sometimes taciturn, you know, guys, but the women, like all women who, you know, work sort of pioneering kind of women who work the land, etc., are tough and resilient and resourceful as well. And I love writing those kind of heroines, women, you know, women who are a match for the men in their lives. So I've done an electrician in Marietta, a female electrician. I've done a female saddle bronc rider. I've done the silo painter, a cop. I'm trying to think of the others, but yeah, lots of things. Like it's fun because it does feel like it's a place where people sort of test their mettle against the land and the environment.
Yeah. It suits that sort of rugged scenery. I love it. Maybe I was just thinking about like a style Bible or anything. Is there something? Maybe I'll ask Alissa that you have to know about these sort of landmarks to make sure you're getting them right, or?
Yes, no, we would be lost without it. And so good because someone always updates it and all the information goes in, and it's lovely because not only is there a style Bible that has a lot of the significant, well, I guess touchstones, what Sarah was saying, all the actual physical places, but there's also a lot of backstory, and there's also a lot of traditions. There might be a series around the Copper Mountain Rodeo or about the Christmas stroll. So there's also things that take place in town that if authors are writing about, they sort of need to know the actual details. So it's so lovely. So not only is this Bible that is very, very helpful, but there's also loops. So authors have a loop and we all get on and ask questions. So, and I was going to say about how lovely that the fictional community of Marietta is, that the readers and authors love writing about. But behind the scenes, there is actually a community, and to write about it, that everybody helps everybody out, and there's such a camaraderie about it. So it's sort of lovely that that while we have this fictional town, we actually have a real life community of authors who all work together, and we would be lost without the Bible that tells us everything about what's happening and all the features of the town.
Oh wow, I want to read this Bible.
Can I just jump in on that one?
Yeah.
One of my favourite things that happens when people are writing, you know, their book, is that sometimes you'll get a little email from another author, and they'll be like, "Your character's Heath, who's the builder. Would it be okay if he renovated my character's house?" And you get to go, "Yeah, he'd love that." And they sort of tell you what they're thinking about doing, and I say, well, I think they'd probably have a kid by now, so you feel free to mention that. And it's gorgeous knowing that these little people that you've created in your mind go out and stay real in other people's imaginations. I love that part of it.
Wow, yes, that does sound beautiful. They live on. Speaking about landmarks, I might. We had another question about the Graf Hotel, if I'm saying
the Graf
correctly. Did you style that on an existing hotel, Jane?
You know, it was a mix of I love history and I love historic properties, and I've stayed in many historic properties, and I just did a lot of research of what would have been built around then. And I got distracted by an image, sorry. And so the graph is really, you know, I can see it exactly in my head. It's not one hotel, it's probably a compilation of a number. And, I know the history. I even wrote a couple historical romances set in Marietta in the 1880s. And so I know who built it. He was a German immigrant, and it's kind of interesting. I just have such a soft spot for it. And once a new author wanted to burn part of it down. And I was like, oh, no. And she's like, well, that way it will allow us to move an event to another place. I'm like, oh, over my dead body. And, it was funny because I feel like I'm pretty chill until you're going to burn my hotel down. And so, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, and is it one of your favourite parts of the
It
town,
is.
you say?
In fact,
Yeah.
in my book Tycoon's Kiss, Troy Sheenan poured his money, millions and millions, into renovating this hotel, and everybody thought it wasn't going to work. But I think that's why I love all the brunches there and all the fun things, because Troy Sheenan almost went bankrupt over that hotel.
Oh wow! Okay, so it does have a lot of history and meaning for you.
Yes.
And did you mention something before about someone was going to try and burn it down? A writer?
Right. Well, so when a new author was writing a new series, and she wanted her wedding moved from there, and she thought it'd be really good that if we burned part of the hotel down, then she has a good reason to move her wedding. And I'm like, you can just move your wedding, but don't burn my hotel, especially because Troy Sheenan is still paying for it. So come on.
Right. Okay.
I think that is the fun of this, is that some of us are so invested. That town feels really real to me.
Yeah. Yes. Fair. Yeah. I think and to a lot of writers and readers. Sarah, do you have a favourite? Oh, sorry. I should go to Alissa first. Part of the town, if we're following the squares.
Yeah. So that's a little bit like asking what my favorite book is or what my favorite child is, but I think there's so much about Marietta that I love, but I think symbolically and sort of aesthetically, I love that concept of this little town nestled in the Paradise Valley with the mountains around it, but looking over it as a silent sentinel is this beautiful copper mountain that is rugged, and it will reflect the seasons, and it's just sort of like, I guess, a symbol of somebody looking over this community for generations and generations, and I just love that. But I think on a real level, I would love to go and walk down the street when the Christmas stroll's happening, with all the lights in the shops bright, and just all the Christmas smells and all the carols. I think it would be just a magical place. And I think in ISO we all need somewhere to go, and I really wish that it was a real place so we could all go and visit.
Oh, yes. And what about you, Sarah? Where would you like to stroll or hang out?
I'm very fond of a burger and a shake, so I'm a big fan of the Main Street Diner. I love it's Flo, I think, the waitress who's been there for donkey's years, and she's got this fantastic beehive hairdo, and I love getting her into almost every book I've written there, I think. And I also really love Gray's Saloon. Those two spaces are really vivid in my mind, and just from a practical point of view, it's easy to get characters crossing paths and seeing other people from other books maybe there and all that sort of stuff. They're good community sort of playing spaces.
Yeah. And yourself, Kelly?
Gray's Saloon, I don't know. I wondered if it says a lot about me that all my characters come into town and head for the bar. They really do. But I've used it a lot for my characters and in my settings. And I just really gravitate towards it. Another place, Sage's Chocolate Shop, which and their salted caramels. It's just a place of really great warmth. I think in one of my stories, in perhaps my bachelor story, I needed a saloon that was dingier than Gray's Saloon, so created one out near the gas station, and it had sort of all the pool rooms and less salubrious characters in it, but that doesn't hold my heart. I had, it was there. I used it ruthlessly in the story, and then I went back to have my, drink at Gray's Saloon.
Well, yeah, the old faithful.
Faithful.
I like it. And I heard a friend of yours is Amy Andrews. Is that right? She's got a rival chocolate shop. Another Aussie is writing a story with a rival chocolate shop, so that'll be another landmark.
Amy Andrews this November will have a new Marietta story out called All is Fair in Love and Chocolate. And she's representing the opening of a big corporate chocolate shop. They know how beloved chocolate is in this town and thinks, well, they'll just take some of that market share, not prepared for the love that people have for this town. And so the poor heroine has been sent by her corporation to do this. And man, I feel for her. And there's going to be lots of drama. And I love Amy Andrews. I love her writing. And nobody can handle a fierce heroine who's walking into a lot of trouble. And so I'm really excited about this story.
Wow. Okay. So it's a woman chocolatier, or
well, you know, it's like a big national chain, and her job is to go from, and she usually does urban openings. So she goes to a new, city to open up this branch. And first time she's ever come to a small town. And so it's almost directly across from Sage's chocolate shop, which is called Copper Mountain Chocolates. So I had the idea, and I approached Amy about it a while back, and I think she's like, okay, I'm good. And then she got closer to starting to write it, and she goes, oh, people are going to be mad. And I'm like, this is fun. And she's like, well, you're not the one writing it.
Yeah. I want to know how it turns out.
I want to know who her guy is. I want to know what the hero is going to do.
If the map's going to change or not, if it's temporary. We have to find out.
I know. Well, that's just it. Like, I get so excited when there's a new book, when Alissa has a new one, when Sarah Mayberry's new series, when, Kelly's going to be writing something. I love this town, and so I love to see what everybody brings to it. I cannot wait to sit down and read.
Yeah, sounds delicious. I might ask Sarah the next question. Why do you think readers like coming back to familiar settings like Marietta? What do you think it is?
Probably for the same reason that writers like writing them. It takes, like, every time you're writing a book, you're starting from nothing. You're imagining everything in sort of like movie or TV terms. You're the wardrobe person, the hair and makeup person, the director, the production stylist. You're creating everything from scratch. And so you invest so much imagination and energy in that. As a kind of group of writers, we've all created Marietta together and shared our characters and settings and all that sort of stuff. So there's a certain amount of world building that exists already, and this lovely sense of community. And that's the thing that I love about it, is that, yes, it's probably obviously a bit idealized, but, when somebody's child gets injured, they band together and they do a bachelor auction. And when they need to fundraise for, I can't remember what the building was in town, they do a bachelor auction again, and other fundraisers, etc. There's just a sense of these people understand that they're stronger and better together. And I really love that as a writer. Romance is about positivity and hope and kind of the better lights of humanity, I think. And I think that exists in Marietta, and I love being there. So I think that's probably why readers like being there as well, I hope.
From the writing perspective, maybe I'll ask Kelly, is it harder writing stories set in a world that's already created? Like Sarah was saying, usually you create the whole world. Does that have its challenges?
No, I don't. I don't know. I don't think it's harder. I think perhaps sometimes you need to be a little bit more careful that you're not burning somebody's hotel down, or you're not setting up a whole new hospital system in a town that already has very secure people doing a lot of things. And that's where those loops that we have with authors, we get on and we chat and can talk and can say, hey, how many doctors in the town, who's here, who's not at the moment, who can leave, where can I fit in? And I think as long as that happens, and that's just a collaborative process, you're good to go. You're still good to bring your own flavors and joys to the town, which is great. Yeah, and I think one of the reasons I think as a reader I like coming back to the town is that sense of familiarity and continuity. Maybe my buy-in is not as steep, given that I've also already spent so much time in the town, and I can bring my reader's imagination to what I'm reading as well, and fill it out, color it in. I color in the spaces as I read that perhaps might not be there in the world. So I'm bringing a whole bunch of subtext. Oh, you know, this happens in this book, and oh, that's that person there, and it can be as rich to a reader as they want it to be. And I'm thrilled that some readers have really bought in so strongly into the town and have a sense of ownership. And if you get your character wrong, you might hear about it, but that's
fair enough. And
you hope your editors are on it.
And does the loop sort of help to keep the storylines fresh as well? Because I guess you know, there's certain tropes that are popular and that sort of thing, but how do you sort of keep it fresh after so many books and series set in the town? I guess that's just authors having lots of imagination.
I think so, and I think you tap into your editors who know what's been written about recently, who know within a series how many people are doing secret babies, or if anyone is, or who's doing a sort of black sheep returning home. So you do have that sort of discussion in advance as to what kind of story you're going to write that will fit a broader landscape, into which lots of other authors are writing as well. So I just think collaboration's the key word. If you're a collaborative soul and you get a lot out of it, then writing into Marietta is fun and easy and inspiring.
Yeah, less of a lonely pursuit than some people think writing is. Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I wanted to ask what's up next for the town. So does anyone have any titles to share, or what can, or Jane, do you have anything to let us know?
I think it's a lot, again, comes back to the authors. You know, someone is saying, say if Alissa said, hey, I would love to write another series set of Marietta, I'm like, yes, because if anything, the feeling is people often feel like as an author, I've been there, I've done it. The problem is when we say we have 80 different series set there, or 80 books, and the readers are still really invested. So for us to all start walking away, they're kind of horrified. Like, what do you mean? It's like a beloved TV series just ending. And they don't want just reruns, they want more. And so I think from me as a publisher standpoint of having helped create this, it's like I circle back around and like, hey, who would like to do this? And sometimes the buy-in is easier with authors, you know, like Kelly, like Sarah, you know, like Alissa, who've already written there, because sometimes new authors find it daunting. And I give them the advice that I've heard everyone else say is you pick your favorite few buildings, you pick a few landmarks, you don't try to know everything.
Right.
But there is more. That's one of the reasons I'm doing a new series there. I want to keep it fresh. I'm thrilled that, you know, Sarah has another book there. You know, we are hoping for a few more. We don't have as much Marietta coming as I'd like. So
there you go, writers out there. Yep. And where can people find the imprint online, or the books set in the town? Just go to the Tule website.
Yeah, if you visit Tule Publishing, there's a chance up top and it says our imprints. And so if you click on imprints, and you can see all the logos, and you click on Montana Born, and then you see all the lists. You can see it by series or by, you know, like the date it was published. And that's when you begin to go, oh my gosh, there's like so much. But as I was scrolling through before, I saw the bachelor auctions. I saw the Great Wedding Giveaway. I saw all of these amazing things that we have created over the last 7 years. And it's kind of emotional for me, because I got to have so much author time with other writers, and that's, a lot of us are really alone. And that was probably, I don't want to say it was like the highlights of my writing, but in many ways out of a 20-year career, it probably is the most emotional and powerful, because I was working with other writers, and I spent a lot of time the last 2 years just really with a hardcore publisher hat on. and it's less collaborative. It's more working with a pub team to make sure books are super successful, or as successful as we can in a competitive market. But I'm very proud of it, and I just hope we keep getting writers to join us in, add in.
Yeah, I should have mentioned as well that you are the publisher of Tule as well as being an author.
I don't know
that's
how
right.
that happened. Yeah, I'm a little
I'm sure people know already. And when I was trawling the internet, I found as well that you have this. To print out a book girl's guide to Marietta. People can still get that. So if they do want to dive into the world, that's got recipes and history and landmarks and explain and all that sort of thing. So, you know, don't be daunted. This can be your guide to get into the world. And there's also a map. If you, we might be including it at the end of the video, or you can look it up. I did do a printout, but it only printed half of it. But I just love a map. So this is, yeah, you can find a better version online, but yeah, you can really dive into the world. I think we'll finish off now because there is a treasure hunt for readers to win prizes. So we have to hold up some codes. So I guess we do it all at once for everyone to copy down. But thank you so much for chatting. We'll just hold up our codes if they can be seen very well. One looks back to front. So happy treasure hunting all, and thank you so much to Kelly, Alissa, Sarah and Kelly for chatting to me, and to the readers for sending in questions and listening in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
So